All right. Hello, everyone. Been a while. Gosh, did I even live stream in November? I don't know. I was sick there for like 2 weeks. I went to a conference, of course, Thanksgiving last week. It's been a bit. And this will probably be my last one for a while because baby or daughter number two is any day now. So craziness. All right. Something I wanted to work on for a while is this dirty option for Pint or Pint or whatever. I keep saying Pint. I've talked about it before. Pretty sure the name's Pint, so that's what we'll call it. Hopefully you can see me and hear me okay. I don't think I messed with any of my settings in a while. What's up, Samuel? Hey, Adrian. How's it going? All right, let's get after it. You know, something people asked on Twitter was for Pint, how do you contribute? Because Pint's kind of like this standalone tool, this runner. And you contribute just like any other PHP or project, Laravel project, whatever you want to call it. You just do the code. The binary, the bin file for Pint is built automatically. In fact, it's kind of cool. There's a workflow, a GitHub Actions workflow here to actually publish the FAR. And what it does is when a release is created, it runs the building of that FAR, which happens with Laravel 0. Laravel 0, if you're not familiar, Nuno also made this. It's just kind of this lightweight command line kind of application version of Laravel. So it kind of gives you access to all kind of like the Illuminate support type stuff, the containers, service providers, things like that. It feels very much like a Laravel application, but it's just kind of trimmed down to be strictly for console commands. So anyway, all this is built into Laravel 0 is the point. So while it sounds crazy or might seem, oh, how do I contribute to that, right? It's just like any other project. You just make the contributions. You don't have to worry about, it being this standalone, bin file and all that kind of stuff, the FAR. And a FAR is really just a zip of the PHP files. There's nothing fancy about a FAR. It's just a PHP archive FAR. So anyway, let's fork this. I don't think I've ever made a fork on this. So Pint, let's create my fork. And I haven't contributed to this project yet. So again, I just wanted to show all these pieces to again demonstrate that it's not too crazy. All right, and let me go back and check the contribution notes. Let's see. Oh, of course, Laravel documentation. I'm pretty sure you can just contribute to main. I was just trying to figure out which branch to point at, but given that there's only main, I'm going to go with main. I know the Laravel framework, they like you to contribute to the latest version, which would be 9.x, but there's no tagged releases or version branches for Pint. So let's get on into Pint and let's clear that out. Let's run composer install. So hopefully we can actually run this as we're going along. And then I'll start talking about what we're doing here. So yeah, I think you can just do like PHP Pint -- test. This should allow us to actually run it. Yes, it does. Okay, great. So we're using Pint to run Pint. It's all local within this project. We have this little Pint runner again that gets built. That's here floating around. That's just the name of the application. Again, it's just the PHP file to run Pint. Think of it kind of like Artisan. It's just the application name. So we can run that with PHP, and then we can pass it any options we would normally pass to Pint. So here's Pint running locally. Cool. Okay, what I want to do is add something, and again, leaving off this PHP bit, I want to add a dirty option. And what this would do would run Pint only against files that have changed, in your Git repository. So first of all, let's go change some files, right? So let's kind of get this working. The git command for this is relatively straightforward. I'll go through that, but getting Pint, which is built on top of PHP CS Fixer, getting that to kind of pass those files down is going to be the interesting part. That's the part I don't know about. So we'll work on that together. Let's set this up. Gosh, I like PHP Storm, but it should be so much easier to make a project from existing files. I should just be able to paste in the thing. I shouldn't have to click like 6 buttons. Major gripe if you've watched my live streams. Excuse me. Still got this stupid little cough I can't get rid of. All right, let's go into the default command and let's add an input option. And this will be dirty. And we'll do, what should we do here? Test the output format. We'll say something like format only changed files within Git repository. That's a little technical. Let's try something like that. That probably needs to be changed. Format only the changed files. I don't know what to say here. Anyway, we'll start there. So this should allow us to have a dirty option, and it doesn't do anything right now. It just runs everything. It's just eaten, right? Okay. Now for the fun git command. I have this in one of the other projects I was working on. Let's get into, it's in like my hooks, pre-commit hook, I think. Yeah, here's that fanciness. Look at that. This is all built into Git, which is really cool. You don't have to really mess with anything here. Uh-oh. The terminal's cracking up there. Okay, so if we run this, we don't have any changes, which is weird. Let's take off this PHP bit. Still don't have any changes. Why don't we have any changes? Let's do git diff -- name only. Okay, there it is. Something's wrong with my filter here. Maybe filter is not what I think it is. Yeah, something's wrong with the the cached bit here, I think. Let's take cached off. Okay, that's a little better. I'm gonna go over the craziness of this, but as you can already see, something's up with cached. Let's go find out what cached actually means. Man git diff cached. Cached. What do you mean cached? If merge base cached, git diff cached. This form is the view changes you staged for the next commit relative to the named commit. Typically, you would want to compare the latest commit, so if you do not give commit, it defaults to head. If head does not exist, it shows all stage change. Staged is a synonym of cached. Okay, so I think the problem is cached. Cached are files that are actually committed or staged, in this case, to be committed. Let's prove that real quick. So let me go ahead and do git add -u. That's going to make it staged. And if I go back to this cached only, yeah, okay, so I think cached is probably not a requirement in this case. So what we would really want to do is just this. We're going to leave off the cached. So let me break down this command. Git diff, pretty straightforward. The differences of the current state of the repo compared to what's been committed. Name only gives us the file name only. Diff filter filters out based on the type of status. So A is added, M is modify, C is technically, I think it's conflicting, but you would still want to scan those, and then R is rename. So pretty much what we're doing here, I think the only other status, there are a couple other statuses, but the other main one would be D for deleted, a deleted file from the repo. We actually wouldn't care about formatting a deleted file, so that's why we don't have D here. So pretty much any other kind of change we would want to look at and consider dirty. So even if you're renaming a file, you could theoretically have some small changes in that and it still be classified as a rename. So if we run this, again, we're not going to get everything. So we actually need to have something here that, we need something that like takes cached but also not cached. That's a little interesting of a boundary case. See, when you run git diff without the cached, but I've already staged something, it's not showing up. I think there's another command for like diffindex. Yeah. Maybe git index. I don't know what the exact difference is here. It's kind of like we want to do it against all things, whether it's cached or not cached. I'll have to figure that part out. I think for now, let's just do git reset. Let's unstage that. Okay, so here's modified, so that's that M. So I think for now we're just going to leave this. I think it's going to be very easy to figure out the right option to tack onto this later. But this is basically the command that we want. Again, I'm going to have to tweak that cached option in the right way. Maybe we'll just have to run both commands and then merge them together. Again, a little bit silly, but I'll try to figure out the best option for that. Anyway, okay, so we have that, and then we basically filter that. We can go ahead and use the system, or Git in this case, to filter just the PHP files. Again, this is Pint. We would only want to process PHP files anyway, so there we have it. Okay, so we've added the option. Now we actually need to like figure out how this runner works. So it gets a fix code, which is a fix code action, and it pretty much just calls execute on that, and it gets an elaborate summary action, and it calls execute on that. So this is kind of just using like the little actions pattern that you find in some Laravel applications. Configuration resolver factory from IO, and then we get the finder. Finder is kind of what I was I've used PHP CS Fixer before, and I know if you have that you kind of build your finder to say which files it should apply to. I was kind of hoping there would be a finder in here that we could hack into, but it seems to be coming from this resolver. So let's get down in here. Path. We pass in the path. What's this? Configuration resolver. It's marked as internal. Okay, that's not my issue. So we have to think about this for a second. If you were to pass in, theoretically dirty shouldn't be used with path. So if you were running like pint -- dirty, you really wouldn't pass in like app models, right? Like we should probably potentially ignore the path. I don't really know what to do there. The use case I'm thinking of is basically this. You don't really pass it in with anything else. So the point I'm making here is that path would be null. I'm just trying to figure out if, let's just hack this for a second. I'm just trying to figure out if we say is null path and this input, or sorry, not this, it's just passed in, input get option dirty, then let's print R, or well, we don't even need to print R, we would just var dump here. All right, let's see if this is working the way we want. Let's do PHP pint -- dirty. No, it's not. Okay. Did we set up our default command correctly? Dirty. Maybe path isn't null. Maybe path gets defaulted. I bet you path gets defaulted. Yeah. Path is always a default. Ew. That's clunky. That's clunky. Is there, I wonder if there's a way to, I wonder if you can find out if like an argument returns true if input exists by name or position. I wonder if has option or has argument tells you true. Okay, yeah. I was trying to figure out if there was a way to be like, you know, input, you know, was passed argument, right? I'm just trying to figure out like, was path actually sent in? I don't know if that's possible or not. Maybe modified. Combine with diff filter, it should. Yeah. Git. Okay, yeah. I'll definitely tweak that git command. I think it's probably just over optioned right now. I pulled it from the pre-commit hook, which technically in that land everything's already staged that you want to be committed. So that's why it's using cached. So yeah, I just need to kind of back it off a bit. So this git argument option, it'd be nice to know if it was like, I'm not sure how to know if it was defaulted. Well, I'll tell you what, it kind of doesn't matter. Basically, if we pass in dirty, we're just going to want to override it. Yeah, okay, so we're in there now. Fine. Let's not worry so much about if path is null. I would have expected that to be null, but I understand why it's getting defaulted, because it has a default here as the current working directory. So what we would need to do here is we would need to run our system command. And again, this is a bit gross, so let's just all relax for a minute. So what do we say here? Diff filter is equal to AMCR, and then we would want to limit that to just the PHP files. So let's say star.php, and we need that output. And let's var dump, not 0, let's var dump output. Let's see if this is working. Nope. Oh yeah, it is. Look, im, cool. Default. Okay, so we have two things that it output. So we forgot name status, it's name only, sorry. All right, there's our 2 bits. Call the member function is verbose on array. Is verbose. Oh, whoops, I'm overriding a variable, my bad. Let's just say files for now. So let's output files. Cool, okay, so we're getting a list of the 2 files that we would want to scan in this case. So again, I'm just kind of hacking along here. I have no idea if this is gonna work, and this obviously needs to be cleaned up to respect the design patterns within you know, Pint. But let's see if we can get it to work first. Okay, so we have these files. That would mean that we should be able to pass those into path. Do they need to be relative, or can they be, see, this is absolute. I wonder if that's a problem or not. You know what we can do? Path's an array. Let's just put these into path. Let's see what happens. Nope, scans everything. So that's not gonna work. Path. If we go down to var dump path, oh, it's appending them. Ooh, that's the nature of the exec command. Let's do path is equal to nothing. Hey, look at that. It did 2 files. Oh my gosh. It's that simple. That was quick too. That was super fast. That's what we want. Look at that. Easy peasy. Boom. Okay, so it's just scanning those two files now. Okay, awesome. So this is really all we need to do to make dirty work. We'll need to do you know, some error checking and some stuff like that. But this is actually pretty good. So if you pass in dirty, we're kind of just ignore the path. Again, I'm not sure if that's the proper UX. We could filter the path based on if you know, passed it in. So what I'm thinking is, like, let's say that you did like pint -- dirty app models. Maybe, and again, this is open for discussion, let me know in the chat what you think, but maybe this would only, it would take the dirty files and then only do it to the ones that have the app models prefix, right? So if you changed like 2 models and a command, this would only format the models, even though you're using dirty and you have a dirty or a changed command file, it would only do models. I don't know, maybe that's a little too like compounding. Again, I think this is the primary use case, so that's what I'm going to build it for right now, but I think there's an opportunity to, you know, filter those. So, okay, this works. We need to be a little fancier about this. So git -u. If I run this again, yeah, there we go. You must call one of in or append methods before. Okay, so so this probably fails because path actually ends up being empty. So if we var dump path here, oh, it does have one, of course, because I just changed it, but let's add it. Yeah, see, it's an empty array. So we need to do a couple things. We need to handle empty array, and then we also probably need to handle using dirty when not in a Git repository, right? Because it's kind of a requirement of dirty. You know, we have to be able to have a way to track, you know, what's gotten changed. So yeah, let's see if there's any, like, here we go. So we can just do an abort 1, preset not found. That's fine. So we could kind of do the same thing here. So we could, I don't know what code to do just yet, but we could basically say if empty path, no dirty files found. All right, so that handles that. Oh, well, of course, there's one dirty file. Let's get add-u again. Okay, cool, no dirty files, awesome. I don't know if that's like an abort. Maybe that should just be like a quit, you know? I don't know, again, up for debate. All right, let's also kind of handle outside of a dirty repository, and then we need to handle, you know, unstaged changes, right? And I think we have that in the comments. So git diff would actually fail, I think. Let's go back. Do I have dev? Yeah, okay. So here I'm in a folder. I can tell from my prompt, I'm in a folder that is not a Git repository. So I'm just, if I run like git diff name status on this, I get a failure, right? An exit code. So what we could do is we could tack on exit code here and then say if, I wonder, I forget this. I think it's that 129. Let's see, git exit code 129. I'm wondering if when you specify the arguments to git incorrectly, it will exit. That's not what I want. Let's do git diff git diff name only head. I'm kind of expecting it to like say not a git repository. Yeah, not a git repository. Use no index to compare two paths outside of working. It's interesting. It's interesting that it kicked out 129. I was hoping to maybe do something here just a little more strict of like, if exit code is equal to, 123, whatever meant like you're not a git repository, then I would abort and say something like the, dirty option may only be used within a git repository or something like that, right? So yeah, that's, I don't know. I'll probably single quote this, I guess. I think for now we could just say, not equal to 0, but there could be a lot of different git messages that you would get. Again, given that we're using this very specific command, maybe 129 is good enough. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that. So, okay. Let's go back to this unstaged changes thing. I think we have some stuff in the comments. Let's figure this out. Okay. Yeah, name. Okay, so what'd you say? Git diff name only head. This seems to give the list of staged and unstaged files combined with diff filter. It should. Yeah, I'm wondering maybe because I'm not explicitly passing head, like it doesn't know. Why don't you use the path? I'm gonna assume that's maybe git status. Could you check for the git folder? Yeah. Checking for the git folder is probably, just trying to think. Checking for the git folder is a good one, but, what if you're nested, for example, let's go back to Pint. Let's say I'm working for whatever reason in like the app folder, right? I'm still within a git repository, but, if I ls, .git, obviously it's not going to be there. So I don't think that one's going to be good. I think it's safe to execute the command and trust that this is a well-formed command that runs across all gits, all git, because it's a git command. And provided I'm not using options that are new or old or whatever, which I'm not, these have been around, since the beginning of time, or beginning of Git anyway. I think it's safe to say that if that command failed, that we're probably not within a Git repository. So, and again, that can get refined. If someone, more familiar with the internals of Git than me, knows the exact status code, then fine. Again, maybe 129 is good enough. I'd have to test it on multiple systems. You could also just run some arbitrary command like git status. Like that's not going to work, on that. So if I do like dev, go back to dev and git status, yeah, and then echo. Yeah, see, this is 128. So yeah. I could run two commands. Again, I'm trying to be quick. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a perfect idea of like, yeah, the rev parse. Again, if you wanted to get really, really strict, I think firing off a git command that you can trust that exit code or trust that it would fail. Yeah, like rev parse. I do that in some shift stuff, so I've definitely seen that command before. So, okay, let's fix this diff thing though. I think that's more important. So if we say name only, and if we do that, then we only get this one. But I think if we throw on head, then we get everything. So I think the trick here is that if you're not passing, if you don't pass a reference, it seems to work off the index. Again, I could read the documentation to confirm that, but I think what we need to do is git diff name only, and then diff filter amcr and then head, and then dash dash star.php. This should return both. Okay, so I think the trick is making sure that we pass in a reference to the most recent commit, which is just head, and that should give us what we want here. All right, so that handles the unstaged. And there we go, that should be everything. Okay, so if we go back and notice now that I have 2 files staged, but not the other one. So what I'm gonna do is git reset this, just to prove that our new little addition is working. So it should run them on 2 files, not just the default command, since we're no longer just doing the staged files. So if we run php pint -- dirty, there it is, 2 files, boom, boom. Awesome. Okay, I think this is working. The question now is, where do we put this code? Where do we want to put this code? I think it's I think it's fine to leave in here, maybe. But I noticed something. Yeah, I noticed this project path getting pulled out. Part of me likes the idea of taking this code, because again, I don't want to muddy this up with kind of this logic. I think what I'd like to do is say something like path equals project, and then not path obviously, but something like I'm trying to think, it's like files to scan or something. I don't know the right name of that, but basically we pass it input, and it would kind of do this portion for us, right? It would kind of do this. Isn't Pint designed to install in global and use in multiple projects? Yeah, it is. What's your concern? Let's move this for now, just for now. And does this? All right, this does get across. Let's just put this here. So path should also be combined with dirty option. I'm not sure what you're talking about, Adrian, sorry. We'll say has option. So if not has option, I don't like the name of this, but bear with me for a second. All right. Otherwise, we're going to return path. Yeah. All right, let's see if this works. Does this still work? 3 files changed because I changed project now. Let's take off dirty. Dirty's only running against, or without dirty's only running against 3 files. That's strange. Maybe I called this wrong. Oh wait, sorry. Yeah, if not has option dirty. Am I crazy? True if input option exists by name. What is going on here? Don't they have like a, if it's set? True if the raw parameters contain a value. Has parameter option. This method is used before they have been validated. It must be used, not necessarily. This is not how I think these methods should work. That's strange. Maybe git parameter option is what I'm supposed to be using. All right, there we go. That's more like it. 42 files. All right, let's go back to dirty. 3 files, great. You can see that these run much, much faster, which is exactly why I kind of wanted to make that. Like, it's, you know, it's just a little DX thing, right? I think there's value in like your CI of just checking dirty, but also a bit of that performance, you know, advantage there. That's pretty cool. Okay. Again, I don't like this name. Files to scan. I wonder if it's like, I mean, you could just call it like paths. Yeah, I don't really know. They call it path. Everything's path. Project path. I wish this didn't exist. It seems a little silly. Who's using this? Summary output. Yeah. I don't know what else uses this. Paths and paths are a little bit crazy. And when you pass path, it's not really like files. It's a path reference. So it's, I don't know what to name this. I mean, you could just call it paths, but I don't really like the overlap there. Let's make a little doc block for it, and let's see if the test suite passes. Because again, I think, so this returns an array of strings, basically. What's the syntax for that? It's like string, I think. That's how you do it. Let's say to do. Don't forget. All right, anyway, this works. I also don't know, you know, abort if I should use a different code there. Let's see if there's other codes in the project. No, it's all one. Yeah, everything uses one, so option blank is not valid. The configuration file blank is not valid. Oh, do they? Yeah, so I'll have to like clean up some of the wording here just to make sure it matches. Let's try to run the test suite. Vendor bin. I'm assuming it's passed. Yeah. Okay, everything passes, so I didn't break anything. But we would want to write. We would want to write a test that ran this. And you'd kind of have to make an assumption about, to make this testable, you wouldn't really be able to run git. Like, you wouldn't really just be able to run exec right here. You'd really want to wrap this in something that allowed you to run a process. Let's see if there's anything. Project, value options. Just trying to see if there's any like runners in here that would allow you to like processed events, dispatch. Yeah, there's no like, I really don't want to have to include a whole thing. Whoops, let's go look at Composer. I don't want to add any like additional dependencies. Like, it's kind of gross. This process here, process, PHP stand, nope. Symfony component processes here. I could use this. Is this testable? I always forget. What is it, like exec or new? You have to make a new one, I think. How is Symfony process? Composer Y Symfony? Can't spell that today. Process. It comes in with PHP CS Fixer. All right. Illuminate console gives it to you. Okay, so we have it through some things. That's not bad. Erase string or string. Okay, cool. Yeah, I thought it was one of those. Okay, let's see if we can test Symfony process. I'd like to write some tests for this before I kick it out. Is there a way to like mock this? Do they have the word test in here anywhere? No, of course not. Tests. Integration tests, mocking dependencies. Test pack. How would you mock this? If they don't have an easy way to mock it, I'd just as soon freaking hide it in some class that I can, you know, call something on. So let's, process is used, or sorry, project is used a little bit. App support project. Just trying to see if there's a, trying to see if project is tested in any way where like it's injected through the container. Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit gross, but what you could do is you could like pass in like process here. That would kind of be the way to do that. You're not really like making a new process though. You kind of use process in a very like static way. So yeah, it's kind of gross. Well, let me think on this for just one more second. I'm trying to do it with the stuff that I have available. So like, I don't want to just fire off some low-level exec call, and process is available. So we don't necessarily need to do all that. We can just make a new process and then run it. So we could pass in process, but if we passed in an object, it doesn't really allow us to like set what we want to run on it. So that's a little clunky. But what we could do, get output always returns the whole. All right, and what does it return? I guess the whole output is like, I don't want to start it. I was trying to figure out if output's like an array or what. Let's go ahead and use process. So let's just drop this in here. If process is not successful, then we would abort. If path is empty, and in this case we would just say like if process get output gives us a string. All right, and then let's bring up get diff. So I think what we could do instead is we could just say create, where is that? From shell command line? I think this is where you pass in like just the raw. I think if you do this, you can just pass in like the raw thing. Yeah, there we go. If you need to use stream redirections, conditional execution, blah, 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 you can define commands as string each. So it becomes your responsibility. Ooh, okay, interesting. Yeah, it might be better to use their little thing here so we get some escaping that's happening. Yeah. All right, let's go back. Let's split this up then. we would say git. We would say diff. We're just going to pass all that crap in. We got name status, and then filter. I just want to make sure this all still works if I'm kind of bringing things in this way. All right, so head, that, and then assuming it escapes for us, we wouldn't need to do that. Okay, so we run that. If process is not successful, then dirty option, get output. We don't have this exit code stuff anymore, but we can't just return path here. We need to return an array. So path, it's not gonna like, of course. I'm trying to see if there's like a process like get lines. No, get output, get last line, get incremental output. I'm wondering if output, it's got a stream. What's a stream? Get status? Nope. There's got to be a way to get it as like an array. Where's an array? Allow passing an array? Nope. Using an array? Nope. Well, let's see what output gives us. Var dump output, and I think for now, let's just pass back an empty array. That's gross, but we'll make it work. All right, let's go back up to dirty. It should explode. Okay. It gives us a string of the broken lines. Oh, exec was so much better. Oh, that's funny. Okay. So we could return preg split. This is gross. Super gross. /r plus on process get output. So gross. Yeah, and now it's got freaking empty things. I think you can pass some flags into this. Let's see here. Preg split no empty. Yeah, if this flag is set, only non-empty pieces will be returned. There we go. So gross. Nope, that's not limit. This is flags. There we go. All right, cool. Awesome. Okay, so we're using process now. We still don't, it doesn't really get us anything because we still don't know how we could test this. We still don't know how we could test this. Can you like set the output of a process? I wonder if you can process set options. No, you can't even set anything on it. I want to use process because it's here and it gives us a little bit of like flexibility because we're passing in these options and blah, 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 instead of just firing off like an exec command in the code. But man, it is not helping us be, it's not really helping us be very testable. Has anybody tested a symphony, an underlying symphony thing? Like I know I could go over here into support and I could add some kind of like process bullshit and like wrap that in there. That was like, and then I would just call something like, you know, output and, you know, status. And I could just say something like, you know, process, you know, run git diff or some crap like that. It's so gross, but I could hide this off as the point, and then I could fake that out in a test. And that way I'm getting the return that I want to be able to trigger some of this other stuff. But yeah, it's nasty. If you're going to go through all that trouble, may as well just stay and use exec. But process is available through the system. So I think I'll probably spend some time. You need to resolve process from the container and mock it in a test. Yeah, that doesn't really help us. That doesn't really help us because process, I don't think you can, like after the fact, like I can't just pass this in as process because it wouldn't have anything set on it. Like, I don't think there's a way to like could set the options maybe. Yeah, like, yeah, see, this is why it's already running. Yeah. There's no, like, when you new up a process, it's a very like value object thing. Like you send in everything when you create it. And so for those reasons, you can't really like new it up in any kind of container-esque way. What I would have to do is like register it in the app service provider to be just this specific command. And then, you know, I give that back. But in the test, then yeah, I would mock it at a very like low level way. And I just think that's like super gross. I'd love to have some kind of like fake. I can't, you know, Laravel's supposed to have like its own like little process thing. I can't wait for that to be released. I wonder when it's coming. I guess Laravel 10 at this point. All right, well, I don't think it's going to be very fun to watch me make like a stupid little wrapper for this. So I think we've proven that this works. We got that working pretty quickly. Oops, we got that working pretty quickly. I think now we're kind of just futzing around in like, you know, what this should ultimately look like when I PR it. But this is definitely working. So we can see here that if I run Pint, you know, without this option, you know, it scans 42 files, takes a second. If I run it, it's just scanning, you know, if I look at git status, it's just scanning these files. And we figured out the issue with the name status or the diff option. So it is scanning the 3 files that I changed. It's super quick, so that's awesome. That's exactly what we want. And I wonder if I can combine this with other things. Yeah, I can. I can just test it. It's all good. So it seems like seems like everything's working here. You know, the last thing, again, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, would really just be, you know, do we want to allow passing both path and dirty? Right now, I don't. Again, that's open for discussion. This is not like it's going to be merged immediately, so you can chat on the PR once I get this out there. But I think it would be very easy to, you know, down here, you know, basically filter if, you know, path was passed, right? You could just filter the dirty things that are in app models. That would be very easy to amend this PR, fast follow it up to support both. To me, logically, it doesn't make sense to ever really do that. But, you know, hey, why not, right? So anyway, all right, well, I will work on that. Resolve name array parameters. Yeah, I know what you're doing, like a make with on process. Ugh. The problem, it still boils down to the issue of that in the test code that's not going to be as clean. Would that work? Yes. But I'm going to have to mock a process object and then mock all of the methods that I'm doing, like is successful, get output, you know, blah, blah, blah. Run. I'm going to have to like low level mock those with mockery. And that feels, you know, in the Laravel world, you know, what they call spell checky. If I'm going to go through the trouble of wrapping this up, I'd really just like to abstract that I'm even using process. I think what I'm going to do is take some time and, you know, turn this into something that really just gives me, you know, the files and like the status. And, you know, it's like app support git or something like that, and I do something like changed or dirty files, right? I think I'm going to do something like this. I think this makes the most sense. It abstracts everything away. I can inject this through the container, and that would allow me to kind of mess with that. I can just make this like a singleton, right? There's no reason to really mess with that. I could even make it like a real-time facade probably. So that'd be super sweet. So yeah, I mean, I think since this all is just Laravel, I could just do this and I'm done, right? And now I can mock it like directly, and I can get rid of these things and turn this into status, and basically turn this into files, and even get rid of all this crap, right? And kind of get that back to the way we want. So I think this is the route that I'm going to go. I'll just make like a little support git thing in there, dirty files, boom, it just wraps up Symfony process within it and does the stuff. But in my test, I could just swap out that real-time facade dirty files and have it return the tuple that I want. Again, I'm not having to mess with mockery so much. It it gives me kind of everything I want with just a single little swap out. So I think that's the way I'm probably going to go. Again, I don't think there's a lot of value necessarily in watching me write that test. It'll be available in the PR if you want to look at it, but I think kind of using real-time facade or the container with a singleton, I'll figure that part out. But pretty straightforward stuff. I'm just going to mock it with a single line and have it return what we want. So we can see that this is going to work. So yeah, I'll make that little class and write a test for this little project thing to make sure that it's iterating just over the subset of files when the dirty option is used. So hopefully this will get PR'd later today, and feel free to leave your comments on it. Feel free to add on with this kind of app models thing that we were talking about if you really believe in that filter, if you want that additional functionality. Again, I think that's going to be super easy to add down here to filter that if you want. So anyway, thank you all for joining live, and yeah, glad to be back. Hopefully I can do a few more even after daughter v2 is deployed. So thanks again. See you all next time.